What did we say we were going to open with today? What was it we said?
We were struggling with Bay City Rollers or some Jim Steinman because there's been deaths this week, haven't there? Big deaths.
Birth, deaths, and marriages.
We haven't got any births or marriages, but we do definitely have big deaths.
So, what do you want to open with?
Because it's St. George's Day, and neither of them are English. Maybe go Scottish.
You want to go Scottish? Okay.
Get me scarf out. Hold on.
Yeah.
Just gotta tell her anyway.
Bye, bye, baby.
Goodbye.
What a tune. What a tune.
Don't make me. Oh, what a tune. Bless them. 60.
Bye, bye, Les.
Bye bye, Les. It sounds very sudden as well.
Yeah, it was. Bless you. I could never pronounce his name. Is it Les McEwen?
Les McEwen. Yeah,
it's McEwen, is it?
What's difficult with that then? What's difficult with
I don't know. Every time I see it, I just worry. It looks French. I don't know. Lem McEwen. LES. You see, it gets me into the French.
Yeah, around Kelvin's side, he was known as the Frenchman. Yeah. Wait, no, I was looking at this. At the height of their fame, Bay City Rollers, they had a TV show going. It was kind of children's time. And all that they were just massive.
They were here. I read something in the week saying that Les said they were doing a gig. And the police came to beg them to stop singing because they couldn't control the crowds. The crowds are going mental. He said, well, we'll just do Shang-a-Lang, which is my favourite. I love a bit of Shang-a-Lang. Shang-a-Lang. So he did Shang-a-Lang, and then they went off on Police advice because they were that popular, But, those days will never be seen again. That sort of fandom has gone, Ronnie. It's gone, completely gone.
They kind of broke up a wee bit. There was a wee bit of, off-air kind of stuff. And I think they maybe had two versions of the Bay City Rollers at one point. Now, the other thing is the kind of Jim Steinman. He passed.
Jim Steinman, yeah. I mean, what a writer of long pop songs. He liked the long song, didn't he? He went for the 6 to 8 minutes of the songwriting process. Big tunes though. Bat Out of Hell, Bat Out of Hell 2. Wrote with Bonnie Tyler, all sorts of hits. Amazing. Have we got a bit of Jim? Bit of a Jim's work. Oh, yeah. Everybody had a copy of Bat Out of Hell, didn't they? Everybody had a copy of Bat Out of Hell. It was huge in the late 70s, early 80s. But the one that got away from Meatloaf was because Jim Steinman wrote Total Eclipse of the Heart for Meatloaf. Yes. And Meatloaf turned it down. And then Bonnie Tyler said, thank you very much. I'll have a bit of that.
This is a bit that gets me. Well, I should have done a shorter edit of this, but
Well, no, in honour of Jim, just play the whole 8 minutes.
Would that mean we wouldn't have any jokes from you?
Oh. No, let's not do it. But every time I think of Jim Steinman, I do think of Bonnie Tyler and that classic joke about Bonnie's car. Do you remember that?
It's
Hey?
Sorry, I was listening to music.
Oh, right, okay. But every time I think of Jim Steinman, I think of Bonnie Tyler. I think of the joke about Bonnie's car because when at the height of her fame, when she had that big #1 with Total Eclipse of the Heart, she bought herself this brand new car, but it only worked Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So she took it back, and the bloke said, "What's wrong with it?" She said, "Well, it works Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but every now and then it falls apart."
That's magnificent, and that's only like 2 minutes into the program already. The show,
it's a classic.
So bless them. They've passed to rock legends. Well, rock and pop. See, I sometimes think rock legends get the big kudos, but pop legends should get a bit. Pop. People doing great pop songs, the ones that get people up at Shanghai Lils.
You mean Wigfield? Are you talking about Wigfield?
Saturday Night.
No. Hold on a sec. Hold on.
What?
Just looking at me eBay. I'm watching. I'm watching this room on eBay, All right, and it's for sale. It's knockdown price, almost new, never been used for its intended purpose. Recently hoovered by Boris with his newly fixed Dyson, and apparently the tax issue was stopping it sucking. But it's going 50 quid, this room. 2.6 million brand new, this room. 50 quid on eBay. So I'm keeping a close eye, Ronnie.
I know what you're doing here. I know what you're doing. You're having a pop-up at Boris's press room that he bought especially for Allegra Stratton. She said, look, I'll come and do the press conference, but the rider is, I want a big room. And I want a room built especially for me to stand there and go. And he said, right, Allegra, you can have 2.6 million. I've got a couple of mates. We've got a couple of mates.
They've texted me. My mates have texted me. Bob the Builder and Jim the Carpenter. They'll be around next week.
They'll nip round. So it's there. Now, they think, Paul, I know you want to buy it, but I think it would be a good wedding venue. Where you can some of that. We could get wedding venues.
It's quite small. You only get about 10 people in.
Yeah, well, that's all you can. You're allowed anyway, 15. So it's that's forward planning. So I think this is a way of Boris. This is capitalism. He's seen an opportunity. Forget about the press thing, all right? Because I'm not going to do them much longer. Let's hire this room out as a function. Yeah. Be nice.
Well, I mean, I think he's going to get calls on that and text because everybody seems to have his number. So yeah. I can't believe that, man. So many people have got his phone number. The most famous person in my phone directory is Chico. Right. For when we did a gig together in Peterborough years ago, Chico is the most famous name in my directory. Who has Boris Johnson in their phone? Everybody.
I've got Stormy Daniels and Jennifer Arcuri. Yeah, I've got her number as well. Hey, listen though, talking of Boris, the magnificent orator, we have talked about it. So you and I, as public speakers, we doff our cap in the general direction of the Prime Minister.
Oh, I bow down backwards and spin.
Yeah, he can hold a room. He can speak. We just see the press conferences, and of course it was Climate Earth Day yesterday. It was Earth Day, and it was a big. Biden come out and said we're gonna cut, all that, and Boris thought, right, okay, it's time for the big speech, and of course he did the big speech
for all of us. To show that this is not all about some expensive, politically correct green act of bunny hugging, or however you want to put it. I'm not even bunny hugging, but you know what I'm driving at, friends and colleagues.
No, we haven't got a clue. Friends and colleagues, nobody had a clue. The Japanese interpreters, they looked at each other and went, bunny hugging, what does that come out as?
Imagine the translation in their ears, what they were calling it. But I thought bunny hugging was the game after the pig thing at Eton. That's round 2, isn't it, bunny hugging?
Yes. Yeah. Get the pig's head out and then let's do bunny hugging. Oh, I love a game.
Well, maybe bunny hugging is working up to the pig's head at Eton. It's probably foreplay. Bunny hugging is the foreplay.
Bunny hugging foreplay. That is the game I want to see Saturday night on BBC with Boris Johnson. But it's just, I mean, the thing is, he doesn't know how to read a room. This man, he doesn't, does he? Because we usually get the Latin thing or some big analogy based in Greek mythology. But he just went. But I mean, was that in it? That must have been. And I met you, Michael Spicer. You know the guy that does the room next door. I bet every speech writer going, all right, this is good. But he comes up and said, "This is bunny hugging. Where did that come? Who did bunny hugging?"
But the thing is, like you said about reading a room, you know, when we were on the radio, you start with your audience and work backwards, don't you? You don't go on the radio and start playing Dua Lipa to 65-year-old people. You don't walk out into a theatre full of young kids and start talking about Vera Lynn. You know what I mean? It's just obvious.
It just anyway.
But he's not the only one. He's not the only politician who's had a tough week, though, Ronnie.
Right. Who else?
You know, Keir Starmer went for a pint in Bath, didn't he? Did you see that?
He did.
And I never think that walkabouts go well for politicians. I don't think it's their natural environment. Do you know what I mean? They're better off in, oak paneled, buildings, pontificating and going, rah, 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 and like that. When they start meeting the public, it doesn't go well. I mean, we remember Prescott, don't we? He had a little walkabout in Wales.
I threw an egg at him. Push.
Somebody threw an egg, and his instinct was to turn around and clock him.
Yes.
Nigel Farage, man of the people, self-styled man of the people. He had an episode with a milkshake, didn't he? Do you remember that?
Yes, the old milkshake.
Yeah.
You want
so here's Keir Starmer, impossibly posh. Looks like he's never been in a pub in his life and ordered a pint. Certainly not one with sawdust on the floor like he walked into a bath. But he nobody realised he was trying out his new idea. Was Keir? He was trying out a brand new, environmental push to win the hearts and minds of the public. Nobody knew that though, Ronnie. Nobody knew.
Oh no! So he was experimenting in politics.
Yes, and he's called it Keir in the community. And what he's doing,
that's actually, for you, that is good. I'm going to give you that.
What he's doing is, Keir, he's going around the community, and he's purposely going to a pub in every town. So expect him in Ely soon. He's going to a pub in every town, and then he's going to get purposely kicked out just for news headlines. So he started well, hasn't he?
Yes.
He started well in Bath. It's a good start. Then when he's done all the pubs, Ronnie, he's going to move on to hospitals where he's going to meet care workers. And then he's going to finish his care in the community thing off with a trip to Disney Studios where he's going to meet some bears.
Care Bears.
Hey!
Care Bears. Yeah, I've got Care Bears. Wow. Yes. Yeah. Wow. It's been a long week. That's brilliant. That's actually quite funny. I mean, genuinely, I think that's lovely.
But the bloke trying to kick him out of his pub was hilarious because he was one of these COVID deniers, wasn't he? You locked us down. And then the security guard that looked a bit like Keir Starmer trying to hold the guy back.
I thought it was, when it showed it on the telly, I went, Christ, Starmer's, he would have done brilliantly, wouldn't he? If that had been him and he'd come out and gone, sorted out his hair again. Yeah. That won't happen again.
Just done a press cut on him and clocked him one. Right, you're right. Which makes me think, who would win in a political proper fight? If you could put politicians of yesteryear and today up against each other, who would you have in your boxing ring? Who would you put up, Ronnie?
I would have put up Paddy Ashdown. I reckon Paddy would, and the guy Johnny Mercer, who's just resigned. It's the worst.
He looked angry as well, didn't he, Johnny?
The funny thing is, he's never worked in a working environment like that in his life. He did 3 tours in Afghanistan.
A cesspit, he called it.
He lived in bivouac in Afghanistan and went, "This is a cesspit. This politics." Anyway, no,
Do you know who I'd have in my ring?
Who'd you have?
Anne Widdecombe.
Oh, wowzer.
I'd have Anne. Nobody's beating Anne. She's right in there, sorted. Yeah,
those are Wuthering originals. No, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned it. Your big day, St. George's Day.
Well, look, at the end of the day,
push back. Push back.
At the end of the day, man fighting dragon, celebrating. I just don't get it. I get celebrating in English without the jingoism and the racist overtones. I get celebrating being Scottish, although I'm not sure what's his name. David, is it? Is it David?
Andrew. Yeah.
Andrew. One of them.
He was a real person, by the way. Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah. Carry on.
We've been through this before. It's a boring name, isn't it, Andrew? But you can have your David, your Andrews. Just celebrate your country. You don't need a mythical man who used to, kill dragons, who celebrated in 20,000 other countries. Just celebrate with English, celebrate with Scottish and Welsh and Northern Irish, and then celebrate the fact that we're all citizens of this great British Isles, and don't try and break away and have another referendum.
Which is a long-winded way of getting into my competition called Famous Georges. Famous Georges, I'm going to give you one word clue, and you have to tell me and give me 10 famous Georges from 10? My first. Yeah, okay. George blank. All right, so it's George, and the clue is minder.
George.
You put it on the fire.
Name?
You put it on the fire.
Daily.
Yeah, you put it in the fire. You put
George Cole.
Yeah. Famous Arsenal footballer. He was
George Graham.
Well, you could do that, or George Armstrong.
Yeah.
Well. Famous American comedian. Comedian. George, and rhymes with it would be we've got our Scottish national bard, Robert.
George Burns.
Yes, that's it. Well,
was he the guy with the cigar, wasn't he? The old fella.
Yeah. You always get it after, don't you? Famous actor, George
Peppard.
Well, you could have done, or the one that rhymes with Blooney.
Maroney. I don't know. Clooney. Oh, Clooney. I prefer Peppard, to be honest. I'm a big fan of George Peppard.
Yeah, he was a good-looking man.
He was a good-looking fella, and in the A-team, he always had a plan. Not the best plan, but he always had a plan.
Beatles?
Oh, George. For God's sake, no. Ringo Starr, Paul McCartney, John Lennon, and the one that stood at the back, George. Harrison, my sweet lord.
Whisper, Careless.
George Michael.
Yep. Singer, George, played his guitar, never gave up on a good thing.
Oh, George McRae?
Oh, the other one?
George, I don't know. Never give up on a good thing.
Benson.
George Benson.
George, producer, Beatles.
George Martin.
Yeah. What was the other one? George, writer, hyphenated. George, posh writer, hyphenated. George. I
don't do posh, mate. You should know that. Enid Blyton.
Enid Blyton. George
George Bernard Shaw.
That's the one. Well done. You got your 10. Well done. Famous Georges.
Listen, talking of famous names, what?
Just how pathetic you were at George. It's just amazing.
George the Dragon, George of the Jungle. I'd have gone for that. George from Rainbow. Anyway, talking of famous names, Ronnie, I don't know if you saw the BBC News this week, but they were really, really interested in Hugh Grant and his bread buying. He was spotted in a bakery in Frome in Somerset by BBC News, which brought a bit of ridicule from people online saying, "Have you got no real news to report?" So they were literally following Hugh Grant round Frome in Somerset. And I can tell you what he bought, Ronnie. He bought a bacon roll, a cup of coffee, and a custard slice. And they got a quote from a staff member who served him, describing the Love Actually star as very polite and well-spoken gentleman. Now, this story came under the headline "Loaf Actually" on the BBC News website. But it got a lot of criticism. I'm all for criticising people when they've done things wrong, Ronnie.
Yes.
But in this instance, I think the people criticising the BBC have missed the point, because a lot of people are interested in the mundanities of stars, I think, because I want to know where Hugh gets his muffins from. I'm interested in whether Robert De Niro ever uses a self-service till in Tesco. You looking at me? You're looking at me. And I want to know about Katie Tunstall's shredded wheat habit.
Sorry. Did you just did Robert De Niro there?
You looking at me? You looking at me?
Oh, that's
looking at me.
Wow! Seriously, that's another cracker.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, but I want to know if Katie Tunstall's got a shredded wheat habit. I think these things are important. And all of this then reminded me, Ronnie, of the day that I bumped into a famous star actor whilst out shopping.
Wowza. Where? When? Tell me more.
Well, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I went to the Olympics for BBC Sport in 2000 in Australia when I worked on telly. Did I ever mention that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Anyway,
Everybody.
So here I was in Sydney, in what they like a Tesco's, but it's called Coles. The big supermarket chain in Australia is called Coles. So I was looking for a hat in the clothing section in Coles, and it's in the King's Cross area of Sydney. And King's Cross in Sydney is a bit like Soho. You don't hang about too long if you're looking for a hat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, because you're busy. Yeah.
Well, no, if you loiter too long, the police come and think you're soliciting. So anyway, as I came round the yogurt corner, just transitioned from the yogurt aisle into the clothing aisle, which is a unique, setup in a supermarket, but it worked for them. And anyway, I came around the corner and into the fancy dress aisle, and you'll never guess in a million years who I bumped into. Famous star actor in the fancy dress aisle. Go on, I'll give you three guesses.
All right.
Quite a tall fella, well built.
Shane Ritchie.
No. Think American governor.
Ronald Reagan. No, he's dead. No, it's not Ronald Reagan.
No.
American governor. Would it be? Oh. No, I'm still no. I'm going to go with Jim Diamond.
Jim Diamond.
Yeah.
No, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the fancy dress aisle. No, I kid you not. He was trying on all these outfits, Ronnie, but he was having trouble getting anything to fit because he's a big fella, and he's got guns, big guns. So I was listening in, and he was talking to the assistant, and he was going to this star-studded fancy dress party, and they all had to go as famous music composers, Ronnie. Yeah, and he tried on already because it was on the floor a Mozart hairpiece, the hairpiece. He tried on some Wagner lederhosen.
Wow.
And even a Beethoven blouse, but nothing fitted. So in desperation, he picked up the last composer outfit that was left. And guess what, Ronnie?
Did it fit?
It fitted perfectly, Ronnie. Perfectly.
Wow. Fantastic.
This forced Arnie to get very, very, very excited, Ronnie. And he started running around the store, shouting to his mates, Sly and the Van Dammer, because they were there as well.
Yeah.
You be Mozart. You be Wagner. I'll be back.
Yes.
I'll be back.
Yes. Oh, magnificent.
Oh, thank you very much.
Did he buy it then? Did he buy it? Did he actually
buy it?
I
don't know. I had to nip off because, they were shouting me to go and do some piece to camera.
Oh, right. You did it. Oh, listen, I've got some news for you as well.
Oh. Am I the new James Bond?
No, you're not. But it's spy news, everybody. Yesterday, MI5 went onto Instagram. That's a thing, Paul, the youngsters use, where they post pictures of what they're doing. So MI5 catching up and showing everybody what they actually got up to. And it was things like martinis and everything were on there.
Good.
Which I'm pleased to see. They're looking for recruits, Paul. You'd be wrong.
Yeah. Did he put anything on there about essentially murdering people in cold blood?
I don't think they did. No. I think that'll be later on. They're just warming up. But the other one, Paul, that got me is, this will be a warning. This is the way we work in this country. Government wants to, if anybody is working undercover, a covert from other nations, They have to come forward and tell us what they're doing under new government guidelines. New powers to kick out spies from hostile states. So I think this is brilliant because if you are spying on the UK, Paul, then you have to tell everybody you're spying on the UK. Because if you don't,
what?
It's a criminal offence.
How are you going to find me? I'm a spy, for God's sake. I'm used to subterfuge. I'm used to hiding in plain sight. I'm used to wearing long macks and standing under clocks with rosettes on my chest. You're never going to find me unless you just go to every clock in the country and look for a bloke with a rosette. It's crazy.
The thing is, we're appealing the UK and the former proper British to this. We're appealing to the better side of people. We're the better. And said, listen, you know you're doing wrong.
Brain killers.
But by the way, you don't have to leave. Just leave us a note saying what you're doing. If you're spying on nuclear sites up at Sellafield or something like that, then just let us know. But you can stay. But as long as we know you're spying. And I think this is what I love being British. It's just giving people a second chance, Paul.
So if you're spreading Novichok in Salisbury, it's all right, but just let us know.
Yeah. Just put it on your why are you here? To see the Salisbury Cathedral and to spread Novichok. That's it.
Do you have to? Because this will be interesting if you had to hand your kit in. Do you know what I mean? Because the woman out of James Bond with the shoes with the spike on the front. I mean, she hands. You got to be careful because you hand them and you take your arm off, couldn't you? The pen that turns into a helicopter.
My concern is, I think Moneypenny's got enough to do. I think she's got to deal with bonds advances, and by the way, you can't do that anymore. She's got to organise his queues, lunches and everything. Now she's got to go through this paperwork of spies coming forward. She's got enough to do. Leave the women alone, unless they start a new department. And where are we going to hide all these things or place all these things that they're bringing in? There's guns and Novichoks.
Well, I think what they could do to help Moneypenny out is just start a new shop or something, couldn't they, on the side of MI6, Spies Are Us. And then they could just, they could come in there through one door in one outfit, and then so they didn't get recognised, they'd go out another door in a different outfit.
You're a real entrepreneur, so I'm going to put that. And still to come, by the way, we've still got Don Kitter has had a look back at the new. Well, let's put it this way: Don Kitter did a report for us on the day of the Super League thing, and it gradually went out of date. However, Don Kitter will give his view on the Football Super League, which was outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, I've had chewing gum last longer than the Super League, to be honest with you. That barge was stuck in the Suez Canal longer than the Super League lasted. But yeah, it just goes to show, if you don't consult the people that actually make football, which is actually the fans and the people that, invented it and put it together and pay for it, then expect the worst. And they were soon put in their place. I love the fact all these owners, weren't they, eventually were dragged out of their mansions where they go, I'm ever so sorry. I didn't mean to upset LFC. LFC? What the hell is LFC? Do you mean Liverpool, John? Liverpool, not LFC, mate. Liverpool.
No, I did find it slightly ironic and very tongue-in-cheek, the fact that people are complaining about millionaires coming in and changing the game when millionaires came in and bought players in for the clubs. Million brought these players in, like Abramovich, who brought in everybody who could afford. He could afford everybody. And it's a kind of thing. It's an interesting thing. Man City, the Saudi connection there, and you think, so it's fine. Millionaires can come in, but don't you mess with the game unless it's for the club.
Yeah, no, and I love the way that Gary Neville, who's getting paid hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds by Sky, who formed their own breakaway league in 1992 called the Premier League. I love the way he was going at them, really going at them on behalf of Sky, who did the same thing a few years earlier, essentially.
Hey, listen, shall we play Don now and let everybody hear it, and then we can pick up off the back of that.
So this is Don's reaction, an immediate reaction. This is our ace sports reporter, Don Kitter. His immediate reaction to the news that these 6 English teams were breaking away to form a Super League that nobody wanted, nobody would have watched, but it would have made them hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds.
Ronnie, I'm feeling destitute, bereft, filled with sorrow. Not because I've been thumbing through my old wedding albums, asking myself where it all went wrong. I know where it went wrong. She grew a moustache. No, I'm melancholy Don today because I'm witnessing a decline. The decline of English football. Now, you might say, hasn't English football been on the decline since foreign owners were allowed to snap up clubs and effectively buy championships, ruling smaller clubs out of any proper competition? But you'd be wrong. Now, you might say that football has been on the decline since players stopped being role models for the young with their swearing, diving, and extramarital affairs, but you'd be wrong. No, I'm talking about the inexorable decline of football into Europe. Now, when I voted in 2016 in that referendum, I'm pretty sure there was no option to leave the EU but join a European Super League. But yet we find ourselves here, leaving one homogenous bloc to join another. And this one's got Cristiano Ronaldo in it. Thanks, Cameron. Let me be clear, I'm dead against it. I'm more against it than I was that time in Thailand when a couple of things were made obvious to me and I bid that lady, in inverted commas, goodbye. And let me address the rumours that I am one of 6 English commentators to leave the Premier League to join a European Super League of football jockeys, commentators to you and I. No, I will not be leaving, and I will not be speculating who is. Oxen, Pugats. Has the idea got legs? Many. Has it got nice legs? No. Are the legs hairy? Very. Will I be watching the legs? Possibly. Do I like legs? Yes. It's been tried before, Ron. There was the stupid idea to fill the pitch with dog mess and make elite players play on that, the Super Pooper Scooper League. And remember the ill-fated attempt to set up a European Swedish league, the Super Trooper League. But that fell apart when the players refused to walk out to ABBA. It might happen, it might not happen. But I say thank you for the football, for giving it to me. But mamma mia, here we go again.
Now, that was Don Kitter's review. Now, Don did get back to us after we'd actually pre-recorded that, and he said this.
Ronnie, Don again. Scrub what I just said.
Which I think is really great. A reporter just, you know, that stuff I said before, stuff. That's Don Kittle, the TBS sports reporter.
That's what I used to do. That's what I was doing on the 6 o'clock news. Do a report. As soon as it went out of date, just file a 10-second clip to add on the back. Scrub that rubbish. Yeah. But it's not the only sport that's in danger, Ronnie. I don't know if you know this, but cricket, the sport of cricket, he's been attacked, Ronnie. It's been attacked.
Really fired up.
What?
Yeah.
Well, as you know, Ronnie, I'm from Yorkshire, where cricket is a religion. You know, you play on a Sunday, you don't go to church. You play cricket all day, and you worship the umpire, unless he gives you out in a dodgy LBW, then you give him the V's. But you worship the umpire, you worship the red ball and the willow. But no, they're starting a new competition called the 100, which is going to be 100 balls, and you just go in and smash it a bit. But some of the terminology is going to be changed. When you get out, i.e., it's called a wicket. Your wicket is gone, but they're going to rename it outs. They're going to have so many outs per innings, and this is a move inspired by a focus group. And we know what focus groups are like, Ronnie, because we work for the BBC, haven't we?
Yeah.
We
do.
How often do they write the focus groups?
Never.
No, never. So they say they're doing it in an effort to make cricket more accessible to new supporters, and they're going to overhaul other things as well. Batsmen will be called batters in the men's form of the game. So wickets are going to be outs. And it all reminded me of when I tried to trying to instill a bit of excitement into otherwise boring sports on the radio. I suggested combining speedway and jousting once in order to spice speedway up a bit, because they just go round and round on them bikes at the East of England Showground, don't they? Round and round they go, no brakes. But you put a bit of jousting in there.
Fantastic.
The crowds are going to, so I got that. And I also suggested spicing up snooker by having moving pockets. So they go up and down the table.
And
and then you play a joker and you bring on the exploding cue ball. You don't know when it's going to explode. It could be at any moment, but you bring on the exploding cue ball.
And you're away.
And my best one was blindfold darts. I was going to bring in blindfold darts, which I thought would liven up the crowd because you never know where the arrow is going to go.
You seriously, this morning, you have come up with so many entrepreneurial ideas. I've got one for you. Scott's mum straps watermelon to husband's stomach after he accused her of making up pregnancy noises. Now, we've talked before that we could never ever empathize enough with women who are having babies because this is alien to well, so far it is, and we don't know what it's like. So this lady, Cheryl Moyer, she's 36 by the way, was fuming after her husband, who's 35 by the way, accused her of making up the noises as she lifted herself off the sofa.
We all do that, don't we?
This is a moment mum-to-be gave her husband a taste of what it's like to be pregnant by strapping a watermelon to his stomach.
Make him pass it through his anus. That'd sort him out.
That's what I was thinking. She was 9 months pregnant, and so she bought a 3-kilo watermelon, demanded he taped it as well as a football. So it's a melon and a football around his waist to get a feeling. Now, I know it may be a bit draconian, but I think this is a future for getting, because we are woke now. I'm very wokey. I think it's important. I think maybe we should do more of this kind of thing, of trying to find out what the other partner is going through. I'm suggesting maybe women start shaving their faces every day.
Some would benefit from that. But are you suggesting then that men, as soon as your wife gets pregnant, you should pull on like a strap on?
Yes, not so much a strap on.
A strap on belly.
A strap on belly, yes, like they do when in soap operas when somebody's making out they're pregnant. Right?
Yeah.
It suddenly gets bigger and bigger and bigger, but there's nothing out the back. So I'm thinking, but it's we have to swap our gender roles. I'm very wokey about this. So it's time for us to do a bit more of that so that we feel and empathize with the other gender in the relationship.
What about having alternate days where we dress as each other? So it's like on a Monday you go out as you, and on Tuesday you swap and go out as your wife. So you put the high heels on, the blouse, the makeup.
Yeah. Everything. All right. Then one day that we men park badly. Yeah. Just
it's not very wokey, is it?
Is that stereotype? Yeah. We just.
What about a day when the wife wheezes all over the toilet seat? That'd be a good day.
That's exactly, and we have to clean it up. That's what wokiness is all about. So
I think I've leveled that there for the wokies. I've leveled it.
I think you pulled me back. I think you pulled me back from the edge there because that just came.
Listen, can I talk about old-fashioned names?
Yes, please.
Have we got time? Because I realise we're getting on.
Yeah, we're all right. We've got we're at 36 minutes. So,
Well, there's been big news. The big cake wars this week between Marks and Spencer and Aldi. Did you see this? Cuthbert the Caterpillar, which is Aldi's chocolate cake with a face on the front, against Colin the Caterpillar, which is M&S's cake. And M&S are suing them, saying they've nicked their idea.
Oh, dear. Oh, yeah.
But what I didn't realise, every supermarket's got a Caterpillar cake. Every single one. And they're all called silly names.
Right.
So, but it got me thinking that they're missing the point here. And by the way, Aldi and their social media team, they've owned M&S all week. Owned them. M&S, stop it. Give up. they beat you. But anyway, but it got me thinking, why would you call a caterpillar cake Cuthbert? It's such an old name.
Yeah.
And we don't use these names before, do we? We don't use them anymore. You know, you don't call anything Colin anymore, do you? Or Cuthbert. You don't use these names. Peggy.
I like Peggy. Peggy's a lovely name.
Well, it is, but it summons visions of 1970s hairdressers and demi-waves, doesn't it? And Austin Allegros with square wheels, you know, doesn't it? We don't use Peggy anymore. Derek. Nobody, we don't use Derek.
We've got followers on Facebook called Peggy and Derek.
Well, I'm not having a go at them. They couldn't help it.
No, I'm back in the cut because this is ageism and unwokey. You're unwokey now.
What I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with those names in the decade they were born. You know, in the 60s and 70s, you know, Ken having his half pint, it's fine. But these days you wouldn't call a child Ken unless you were, you know, setting it up to fail at school and to get kicked to death in the playground. You know, you wouldn't call your son Ken. So, you know, there's a list of names never to be used again. Although I do have a soft spot for Ethel, who works on the meat counter at Morrison. She always gives me an extra slice of ham.
Yeah, you got and a couple of extra sausages. Well, that was from going from very wokey. You've gone the other way. You have certainly redressed the balance in terms of wokeness. You've attacked names. You've been ageist. You know what? It's good to have you back. It's lovely to have you back. The way, because I was starting to worry that you were becoming a wee bit too woke for my liking. Listeners, thank you very much. If you'd like to leave a message, we haven't had a message on the Anchor FM thing. You can leave a message and maybe do impressions of me and Stainton, or maybe send us tributes. Maybe this is a wonderful podcast. It should be given money. It should be given grants, something like that. But anyway, well, thank you. I'm going to go and try and fix the back tire on my racing bike. I do have a racing bike. Yeah. Stabilizers off, and I'll be on the road later on. Racing back. What are you doing, Blondie?
I'm nipping to Morrison, see if I can get an extra pork pie out of Ethel.